Welcome to the Strategic Travel Entrepreneur. My name is Rita Perez. Hello. I've been a travel advisor for over 10 years and am navigating this winding road of entrepreneurship with you. I created this podcast because I wanted to share all the things I've learned from leaders both in and out of our industry that I really wish I would have known way back then. But alas, the important thing is I'm aware of them now, and I want you to be too. Ready for this week's show? Let's jump in. Hi everyone, welcome back to the podcast. Today I wanted to discuss a topic that I myself have difficulty with. And I just wanted to share some of the things that I have been doing to kind of increase those boundaries and help me to kind of navigate this new crazy world. Because for me, if this is your first episode listening to, I am new to being a full-time entrepreneur. I have actually had my travel business since 2010, and it wasn't until this May that I said, you know what, I'm going to take a leap of faith and I'm going to move forward with being a full-time entrepreneur, which is why I also started in very deep with my virtual assistant business, which thankfully has been going really well thanks to supporters like you guys, so thank you so much. But yes, in May I went ahead and resigned. And as soon as I resigned, I was experiencing like 12-hour business days. And for me, the difference with working for somebody else full-time versus working for myself full-time is that I actually love the work that I'm doing in. And so it is hard to create that boundary of when do I stop working, because there is so much that I need to get done and I really love the work, but I also need to have like that downtime. Like my brain needs to shut off. It can't always be on. And so I am a huge fan of Calendly, and I highly recommend utilizing Calendly to go ahead and put up some of those boundaries. What I am finding myself now is that I need to honor some of the boundaries. So I have my Calendly. Everybody who makes an appointment with me, I have a couple different appointment types, and I go ahead and I put them in Calendly. And I guess we're gonna talk a lot about Calendly because I think it is probably the tool that has helped me the most in creating some of the boundaries that I have right now. I originally started taking calls from my Calendly, and this is not, if a client calls me on my cell phone, I will go ahead and of course I'm going to answer that client. I'm not going to tell them no. But if you want to set up any sort of like discovery call with me, or we're like doing some networking or those types of things, like it needs to be on my calendar and assigned, and I have certain boundaries that I didn't have before. So I started taking calls. I said Monday through Thursday, I think 10 to 5. And in the beginning, my calendar was whack-a-doodle. Holy moly, like don't do that. I don't recommend doing that. Because what I was finding also is that one, my calendar was getting overscheduled because everybody was able to schedule whatever they wanted, whenever they wanted, pretty much because I had such a wide open calendar. And I was very overwhelmed, and I felt like I was doing more talking than actual working. So the first thing that I did on that was, instead of having meetings all the time, I honed in to only having meetings in the morning. And I have since fixed that also because I'm finding I have more energy to do actual work and work inside the business in the mornings. So now what I do is I only set these meetings for the afternoon. And that helps too, because a lot of the different trainings that I would like to attend are during the morning time, not in the afternoon. So I think it just makes it easier for me on that respect to go ahead and do things in the afternoon. I then went ahead and I said, you know what? I can't take calls on Mondays because Mondays I need to clear my head. Like, I'm getting back from the weekend, even though sometimes I am still working my weekends, like this weekend recording this. So I needed that buffer. I needed Mondays and Fridays not to have any calls. Kind of like serve as my catch-up days, both days. So Mondays to kind of like catch up on anything that may have come in through the weekend, and Fridays to kind of fill in anything that I may have been working on throughout the week. And I have even narrowed that down even further. So right now, as it stands, you can only schedule calls with me between 2 and 5 p.m. on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. And I'm going to see how that works. A lot of people who have been setting up their model calendars have been mentioning to me that they only take calls 2 days a week, which I think that helps a lot. Like, just to have dedicated time to when you are doing certain either networking or building relationships with other people, and then the other time you can focus on that strategy and that getting the work done. And that so far has been helping me. This week is going to be my first week, so July 5th is my first week of kind of that being implemented in place, and just looking at my calendar, I'm like, okay. It just feels so much manageable than before when I was kind of like, yes, I'll take all the other calls. And that's another thing that I'm noticing in myself too, is that I'm starting to be a little bit more selective in calls. So I was taking a lot of let's get to meet my supplier calls. And the emergency happened for one of my suppliers this week, so we couldn't do the call. And I kind of realized that is not where the importance in my business right now needs to lie in. I need to be attaining a lot of clients, and client attraction has always been the theme. But I think too, when I started working from home full time, it was kind of like, I'll take any meeting with anybody. And when you start to get into your focus, you're like, okay, I can't do that anymore because it's distracting me from things that I actually need to be doing, both in both of my businesses. And so I just think having that set of boundary also is going to be incredibly helpful moving forward in my businesses. So now I have like some extra time looking, and I'm like, wow, I don't have a lot of stuff to do this week. But I did also a brain dump where I can see like, there's a lot of stuff I can do, because that's the things that get pushed aside. I have been wanting to do podcast pitching for my travel business, and I had signed up in a course back in March, and I started doing little things, but I haven't like actually pitched myself. And now I'm grateful, like I've been able to work like on my pitch template so that I can start pitching myself, because that's part of my client attraction strategy, to be in front of different people's audiences to get the word out of the benefits of doing cruise retreats. So just a little pitch there for a podcast pitching, if you hadn't heard of that before, as a client attraction method. Other things that have gone on the back burner for me is I wanted to create a new lead magnet. I wanted to update my fee structure. I have actually a new group cruise program that I haven't been able to even advertise because I've been in the weeds. So I think a lot of the work that I'm doing is also very foundational. The Strategic Travel Entrepreneur is brought to you by Mailbox Power. Harness the power to attract and nurture your clients through something many entrepreneurs have forgotten about: the mailbox. Create beautiful custom campaigns and automate annual mailings for birthdays and holidays. And with a pro account, get access to mailboxes not currently on your mailing list that are just waiting for the travel service you offer. Visit my Mailbox Power affiliate link in the show notes to get started today and support this podcast. And so once things are set in place, it'll run like a well-oiled machine. I'm also realizing that I have like 1,000,001 ideas. So one of the things that I am hoping to kind of like help in setting these boundaries and making myself more productive is I just invested in a Trello course by Kate Doster, who you may know Kate Doster. She is very prominent like in the email marketing space. She has this awesome course on Trelloing for your business. And I have been wanting to get into one of these project management because I have all these ideas floating in my head, but I need somewhere to store them. And it was really nice to get into a program that wasn't going to cost me an arm and a leg, but give me the basics. And that's really what I was looking for, is the basics. Like, I know these programs can be helpful, but I don't know how to use them. So already, I haven't even gone through everything, but there are 3 boards, I guess, that I do want to be setting up based on this program already that is going to help me kind of like get those ideas out and put them in an idea parking lot 1, but also kind of to create templates, because I'm finding that, you know, especially like in our travel businesses, like we do the same things over and over and over again. And I would just notate certain things in my brain instead of, you know, on paper or in a program like a Trello. And I think kind of utilizing a program like this is going to help create that boundary. Like, no, you need to take it out of your head. You actually need to put it in writing. It's just going to make things easier because, like I've mentioned on some of my Instagram stories, I am building a business that I love. And I can't do that if there's certain things that like I'm not documenting all the time. Like, I need to make things easier on me. Also, what I'm finding is that I'm starting to get busier, which is a really, really, really great thing. But I want to have a foundation set in place so that there's certain processes that are documented. So whenever I start bringing on help for my businesses, people can go ahead and like look at, I guess, what I would call my SOPs, my standard operating procedures, and know how to run my business. Like, I'm going on a very long, well, I think it's a very long, a 2-week vacation coming up at the end of this month. And I'm going to be recording things like video, almost training videos, so that the person that will be kind of covering for me, who I'm hoping to use as an assistant for other projects that I'll be working on, can cover just the basics of what will need to be covered, such as, you know, taking payments and doing the invoicing. And if any questions do come up and people need specific pricing, because I am working on like this big, large group cruise, and I don't want to not help anybody while I'm gone, because I need people to be sailing on this cruise, but I want someone who's also going to be very comfortable helping these people out. And I know some of my fellow travel advisors would more than likely help and step in on this, but everybody's getting busy now, and it's a really great thing for us. So I want to have somebody there on the outside. And that's also like one of my focuses in the virtual assistant business, is to have people that I'm kind of pairing you up with if you do need an assistant to do certain things like that. So yeah, now I feel like I'm a little bit rambly, but the point is that I want to get a hold of my business before my business is kind of like, blah, there's all this stuff that I gotta do. And part of that is doing boundaries. And I was listening into a mini training by Amber de la Garza, who talks about like setting boundaries and saying no, because you have to say no in order to say yes to the things that are going to really matter in your personal life and your business. And this is something that the fabulous ladies at Call Me Unstoppable talk about also, is that you just need that mindfulness and that self-care within yourself, because I think that's what it all boils down to, is that I'm prioritizing myself. And by prioritizing myself, I'm also prioritizing my business. I hope that really makes sense, because I know that can kind of sound like really like, whoa, very hippie-ish, and that's not where I'm trying to go in. It is to make sure that you are also putting yourself first. Like, yes, clients are very important, and we love the work that we do, but we are also equally as important, and we shouldn't have to run on empty all the time. I shouldn't have to feel like I'm scrambling like I was feeling when I had a death in the family a couple of weeks ago. And when I had to go out of town, like, it pained me to cancel certain things, and it pained me to like be so behind because I felt like there was so much momentum. But if I put these boundaries and these processes in place now, I at least the idea is not to feel like that again in my business. So I hope that you've been able to take a little something. We're going to talk about model calendar next week and kind of like what I've set up to be my model calendar. I'm going to dive in a little bit more deeper into my Calendly as well. And I hope that this has been helpful, at least, if anything, to give you like some motivation to put in some boundaries into your own business, and giving you a couple of tangible ideas on things that I have done and that I have already seen some help with. I will definitely be coming back and talking about like the different Trello boards that I've made once I really start diving in deep into that. But yeah, I'm super excited for the future, and a lot of it is because I have started putting up the walls and not being as accessible as I was in the very beginning. So, thank you for listening in on this episode. Please share it out to anyone that you think might find this useful, and I will see you guys next week. Thanks for joining me on The Strategic Travel Entrepreneur. Please subscribe and leave the show a rating on your favorite podcast platform. Oh, and don't forget to take a look at the show notes for important information and links. See you next week.